Hi, I'm Winter, and I used to be a child. Yeah, crazy, right? Just goes to show you never really know somebody. They could have been anything in their past, and for me, that's what I was. A child. But just because I was a child doesn't mean I wasn't also still a gamer. Do you really think I survived 18 years of my life without playing through Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
Childhood video games, everyone has them.
Unless your childhood sucked.
These can range from something a parent decided to put you through for fun, like my parents did me with Jumpstart Toddlers, a 1996 computer game featuring the singing cat.
I am a kitty, meow, meow. Aren't I pretty? Meow, meow.
Or they can be something your parents bought on a whim based on a vague familiarity with a franchise, only for them to realize, oh we just bought our child a game about a hedgehog with a gun who says damn.
And they wonder how I turned out the way I did. Again, anyone with a fun childhood has a game they remember playing as they were a kid, and similar to how I feel about favorite games, I also love hearing about people's favorite childhood games. So I went ahead and asked some of my friends to share their childhood games with me. You know, worst case scenario, one of them says Sonic Adventure.
One of my friends said Sonic Adventure. This is an interesting one because if you're playing this game in 2022, you're likely to realize, wow, it's a mediocre game in the Sonic the Hedgehog series.
Unheard of.
But if you're playing it as a kid, you're more likely to look past 2/3 of the game being incredibly tedious and just see it as a really cool action platformer with multiple characters to play as. This game is an interesting example on how your age genuinely will impact how you feel about a game for the rest of your life. The friend I asked said, and I quote, "I f***ing love Sonic Adventure. It's one of my favorite games." You're not hearing anybody who plays the game for the first time at age 15 or older saying that. I'm sorry, but you're just not. In the same vein, I f***ing love Super Mario Sunshine. It's one of my favorite games. But I first played Super Mario Sunshine when I was like 6 or 7, and I've played it several times every single year for almost 15 years now. If I were to play Super Mario Sunshine for the first time now in 2022, having played all the games I've played now, God, there's no chance in hell I would consider this to be a good game. I don't want this to come off as a hit piece on Sonic Adventure though, alright? I think Sonic Adventure is playable, and I genuinely do enjoy playing the game. I just think I watched too much YouTube in middle school to be able to see the game the same way I would if it was a game I played in my childhood. You have to keep in mind that the internet has put this game through hell.
And possibly deservedly.
Pajama Sam, I've heard a lot about this little man. But to be honest, I know nothing about the Pajama Sam games. I know Humongous Entertainment was a big name in the children's video game industry back in the 90s, and I know games like Pajama Sam and Putt Putt still hold a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Hell, they still get re-released on consoles like the Nintendo Switch to this day. But they're just not the types of games I played on the family computer when I was little, no. My parents set me up with games like Blue's Birthday Adventure, a Blue's Clues game made by Humongous Entertainment? I played through this game so many times as a child and never had any idea it was made by Humongous until just now. So yeah, Humongous is definitely a company you'll see come up a lot when asking about childhood games. As sure as they have their own IPs like Pajama Sam, they also made a lot of licensed kids games that you very likely played at some point. Anyway, Pajama Sam is about a kid named Sam who wears pajamas or something. Next game, Zoo Tycoon 2. This is one that I very, very, very specifically share with the friend who mentioned it, and oh my god, this game is such a key childhood memory for me. What do I remember doing in this game, you may ask? Drowning elephants?
What? It's a totally normal thing for a child to want to do. What kid wouldn't want to drown elephants?
Look, I'm being completely serious here. I have no idea what the hell compelled me to do this as a child, but the one thing I can vividly remember doing in Zoo Tycoon 2 is filling an elephant enclosure with water and seeing them all drown.
Blame Shadow the Hedgehog.
This game is one that I can definitely see being a childhood favorite of a lot of people. It's a game where you just build a zoo and try to make it profitable. Now, this type of game is something I very much have trouble getting invested in as an adult, but when I was a kid, those elephants never stood a chance. This was more of a game that I needed my older brother and mom's help to play, but I still have vivid memories of this one, and I'm glad I have that in common with a friend. Kirby's Dreamland. I was told the memories of this one specifically take place on car rides, and yeah, I definitely understand that. Kirby's Dreamland specifically isn't one I have childhood memories of, but I definitely remember playing the original Super Mario Land on long car rides. Kirby's Dreamland is a game I first played all the way through a few years ago, and while it's not my favorite Kirby game, it's definitely one that's good to play through if you have a half hour to spare with nothing better to do. But the same friend also told me Super Mario Galaxy, and that one, wow, what a game. Now, as should be obvious, I personally prefer Super Mario Sunshine.
No wait, Winter liking Super Mario Sunshine?
But Super Mario Galaxy also has a place in my childhood. I specifically remember the times before my parents bought it for me, playing it at my grandma's house on their Wii, and always being terrified of this picture of Bowser. I don't know why, but it scared me. I I remember always being the one to get the farthest on their Super Mario Galaxy save file when my siblings and cousins and I would go spend a weekend up there. They'd get around 4 or 5 stars, but I, being the most powerful loser in the house, would always get up to around 16 stars. The Wii at my grandma's house holds a lot of memories for me. It was where I first experienced Wii Sports, Mario Galaxy, Mario Kart Wii, Link's crossbow training for some reason. And speaking of that, Twilight Princess is one that another friend told me. Now, I don't have super strong memories of this game. I mostly just remember it as the one where Link becomes a furry. But my other grandma did have the GameCube version of this game at her house, and I remember playing it and being confused because I was really bad at reading comprehension when I was a kid.
And things have not changed to this day.
Twilight Princess is one of many Zelda games that I was never able to really get invested in. I don't know if it's because of the color palette.
It is.
Or just the fact that the general structure of Zelda games isn't very interesting to me.
It is.
But it's always one of those games that I look at and just kind of go,
oh, no thanks.
For what it's worth, I never had this issue with Wind Waker. I always loved the way the game looked and enjoyed playing what little of the game I did. 5 or 6 years ago, I even got close to beating the game when I got the GameCube version, but then I stopped, and once you stop playing a Zelda game, it's kind of hard to get reinvested without restarting the entire game. I did go ahead and buy the Wind Waker HD on the Wii U eShop pretty recently, but I have yet to play it. Anyway, that's about how I feel about Twilight Princess. I bring it up and then instantly nod off into talking about the Wind Waker instead. As for myself, I have a lot of games to talk about here. Now, obviously I've already talked about a few of them, but some of the ones I didn't talk about include Super Smash Bros. Melee. I first played this at one of my grandma's houses, and it's probably the first Smash Bros. Game I ever played. I know I played Smash 64 at around the same age at my aunt's house, but Melee will always hold more personal meaning to me. I remember playing through Adventure Mode as Pikachu a ton of times. That's my clearest memory with the game before I owned it myself. But when my parents finally bought a copy for us to have at home, oh boy, unlocking all the characters, playing as Marth and Roy on Brinstar Depths and naming them Annie and Obi to replicate Star Wars Episode 3 with my older brother, finally unlocking Mewtwo. There are so many memories with this game, and luckily not a single one of them revolves around the competitive scene. Every time I think about Smash Bros. Melee, I'm condemned to think about the fact that this game is not known for the good childhood memories so many people hold about it. Instead, it's known for its competitive scene. Now, I'm not going to pretend that's not warranted. Competitive Melee is f***ing crazy, and I don't blame people for getting so invested in it. But at the same time, the competitive scene for Melee basically guarantees that if you have a friend who knows how to wave dash, it ceases to be a game you can just break out and have a good time with. My memories with Melee are from a time before I knew about any of that stuff, and to be honest, those are the only memories I want to have with the game. These days, if I want to play Smash with a friend, I stick with Brawl, because at least I know nobody wants to play Brawl competitively. Pokemon Colosseum is the game that introduced me to the Pokemon series.
God, that will never not be a weird icebreaker.
It's such a weird entry point for the series, and to be completely honest, I'm lucky it didn't scare me off. The game is hard as hell in comparison to the entire main series, and it was designed by people who had literally never played Pokemon before in their lives. And yet, despite that, some of the trainers in this game use some genuinely high-level competitive tricks that I would never even think of. The final boss especially. I'll talk more about this game later. I'm still working my way through Generation 3 at the moment, but for now, just know if you're looking to get into the Pokemon series, dear God, don't start here. You will not have a good time. Last game I want to talk about is the reason I even thought of this topic in the first place, Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. This game recently had a remake announced in a Nintendo Direct under the title Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life, and I feel like the general reception to that Direct really undermined the impact that this trailer had on people who grew up with the original game. Harvest Moon is a farming simulator series, with A Wonderful Life being the first and only entry on the GameCube. Other than Another Wonderful Life at least, but that one was just the same game but you play as a girl. And A Wonderful Life Special Edition on the PS2, which is what you're seeing footage of, but again, that's pretty much the same game except with some minor updates and worse music. This game is just so cool. You inherit a farm and get to see it, and your character and the people of Forget-Me-Not Valley grow old. You get to marry one of 3 bachelorettes, 4 if you're playing the PS4 version and are a creep, have a child, see them grow up, all the while taking care of farm animals, growing crops, watching funny soap operas on TV. And this game exemplifies what I'm really talking about here. I have vivid memories of doing all of it in this game. I remember raising the animals, I remember giving Celia the blue feather and getting married, I remember watching my older brother take the child all the way to the villa and waiting for them to get home on their own in the middle of the night. I remember all of it, and it all made an impression on me, and that is why I had such a visceral reaction to the remake being announced in the Nintendo Direct. Games you grow up with are something special that can never be replaced. I'll never forget my time with Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life, or with Pokemon Colosseum, or with Super Mario Sunshine, because those games and memories have been with me since I was a young child. I'll never forget how funny I thought it was when my dad would tell me to turn off the GameCube after hearing Shadow the Hedgehog say, "Damn, not here." I'll never forget that first battle against Ryder Willie in Pokemon Colosseum. I'll never forget the hours I spent trying to get through the secret of the Dirty Lake in Super Mario Sunshine. Because those memories mean the world to me.
There's a world where I never got to play these games, never got to make these memories, and in that world, God, my childhood sucked.